Everybody ready to get the show on the road? No? All right. We got quiet, so I guess so. So we call we're at 7:02. First thing we do is rise for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, God, indivisible. Christie, roll call, please.
Mr. Dabrowski.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mrs. O'Brady. Here. Mr. Downey.
Here.
Mr. Bryan.
Here.
Ms. Carvalho.
Mr. Galena is on.
I am here.
Yeah. All right, welcome, Dan. Okay. I'd be looking for an approval of the agenda as submitted. I'm in motion. Motion by Roger, second by Ken. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, unopposed, all in favor, motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have the approval of the minutes from the October 17th, 2023 regular Board of Education meeting. So I'd be looking for approval of those.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Roger, second by Ken. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, we have, so we got 2 abstentions, Jennifer and myself, and then those that were in favor are Joe, Ken, and Roger. So the motion passes.
And Danny.
And Danny. So motion passes. And no closed session last month, so next.
Mr. Smith was running.
All right, next on the list, any correspondence?
Nope, not this month.
Not this month, okay, moving along. Audience comments, okay, next. Just kidding, audience comments. Now? Anybody on virtually comments? Okay, we have a comment back there, thank you.
Noted.
That was favorable, I'm sure.
Thank you for your support.
Okay.
All right. Wow, we sometimes hold a board meeting upstairs in the library. When we have a pretty big recognition, we hold it in the cafeteria. But when we have a ginormous recognition, we move it to the gym, and that's what we have tonight. So I want to start off by saying, like, of all my favorite parts of a board meeting, this is my most favorite part of a board meeting, to see so many people here to celebrate and be celebrated. We have some tremendous kids to celebrate tonight. Incredible adults who are part of our system. So we're going to kick it off with the students from Lotus. Ms. Udston, would you tell us about our student recognition from Lotus this evening?
Yeah, this is exciting. I will say this is our largest group we've ever had, so this is great. We have 5 third graders being recognized tonight. So we have our third grade team here. We also have our school counselor, Nicole Brickman, here to recognize a third grader, and our STEM teacher, Ms. Miller. So I will invite Ms. Crow to come up first. Hi, I'm Ms. Crow. I'm here to recognize Ella. Ella is a great friend to her classmates. She's very helpful and inclusive. When she sees an upset student, she always finds a way to cheer them up. She helps students put their supplies away and pick up random things around the room. She has a great sense of humor and makes other people laugh. She is flexible when her schedule changes. Ella is a great role model of what a Lotus All-Star should look like. Keep being amazing on her.
Okay, before you do that, we added something new this year. So in the past, if you were in the last board meeting, you know this, and you saw the grand premiere. In the past, we gave kids medals for recognition, but now we give them yard signs. So you can put it in your yard or put it in your room to celebrate being an amazing Lotus student. So where is Miss Ella?
disclaimer, we are going to get pictures of everyone.
And we do pictures at the end, so don't sweat. And we have cake, so stick around. And you don't have to stay for the whole business meeting to get the cake. It's the best part. Okay, next up, Ms. Rowland.
All right, I'm going to come over here. All right, I'm here tonight. I'm Kirsten. Kirsten is an absolutely incredible student. She's always looking for ways to help her teachers, classmates, and anyone she interacts with. She takes initiative and advocates for herself when needed. She has a strong work ethic and sets big goals for herself. She already knows that she wants to be a cardiovascular surgeon. Kirsten will find ways to make you laugh in clever ways. She truly has a heart of gold and will do remarkable things in her future. We are so lucky to have you here learning at Lotus, and I could not be prouder of you. I cannot wait to see what you will accomplish.
So I'm bringing Mila up with me because I always cry when I do this, and I told her maybe if she's standing here with me, I'll cry. So, I'm so excited to be sharing with you a fabulous third grader named Mila. She is kind, sweet, helpful, positive, and hardworking. Mila has already shown great improvement in reading and is right on track with her reading steps. She is motivated to learn and participates often in class. And just to show you her true character, and this is why I just wanted to thank her. We had a new student in our class a few weeks ago. She welcomed the new student in the hallway. This new student was coming from Colorado, so she was totally new to Fox Lake. She showed her around our classroom and school and introduced her to some new friends. When it came to recess time, this new student didn't have a jacket and it was actually a chilly day. Mila said, "It's okay, I have an extra sweatshirt you can wear." And she brought her outside to make sure that she had fun at recess. Mila is the true definition of a Lotus All-Star, and that is why I wanted to recognize her tonight. Mila, keep shining.
It is with great joy that I get to recognize Tyler this evening. Tyler is a truly compassionate and understanding student. He is great at making others feel comfortable, heard, and accepted. He's always willing to help others find strategies to help their own needs. Tyler is also great at advocating for himself and kindly letting others know what his boundaries are. He is incredibly hardworking and resilient. When faced with something difficult, Tyler tries his hardest and knows when to ask for help. He is a joy to talk to and loves sharing stories. Tyler is a true leader and demonstrates it both in academic and social-emotional areas. Tyler, you have made a significant amount of growth this year, and I cannot wait to continue to watch you grow. You are truly amazing. I am Mrs. Miller, and I have a son, and I am nominated for that lead. First of all, I want to say how proud I am of you. I come from kindergarten, and that's the privilege that I get to see these kids grow from when they come little. And I have noticed how that shy little ones to a mature student who likes to participate. You are always asking for help when you need it. You're always helping others when they need it as well. He is thoughtful and considerate of his friends, and he likes to take action and responsibility for his family. And I've noticed him enjoying STEM class a little more this year. I also have the privilege of having been in STEM club, and I think he excels and shows his true colors in STEM club. I can tell it's totally his jam. He collaborates. He is like the epitome of a great leader. He collaborates really well with others, even the older students. We got put with a bunch of fourth graders, and he just excelled with them. He shows so many great leadership skills, like being considerate of others, providing feedback to the friends in such a positive way. He just knows when to help out and when to step back. And I love to see that in happening, and that's amazing. So keep up the great work, and I'm really proud of you.
All right. That's all I have on my Lotus list tonight. Am I right? All right. Mr. Stepsick, tell us who's here from Staten this evening.
So we're going to recognize some leaders and some champions. So we'll start with our leaders, and I want to introduce their leader. This is Lindsay, student council.
I'll just introduce everybody and then I'll say something about them. So Aaliyah Fields, our student council president. Annalie Molina and Nancy Estrada are our secretaries. See them here. Olivia Anderson is our mascot. Responsibilities are really long. I won't worry about those things, but these women, these girls, have given up their lunch hours, after school time, to either collect coats, college food cans, plan for spirit days, plan for pep rallies, and there are days that they exhibit school spirit, love for school, and dedication. So I'm just so proud to not be your leader, but be part of this tribe because they just are a part of the Santa School. Kudos to you guys. How to do this.
Two on each side. Two on each side.
Jeff, maybe you stand up too.
I prefer you sit down. Ready? 1, 2. Next, I'd like to introduce Coach Leah Foster to introduce our training team.
Volleyball, and time being conference champion.
Yeah, it is.
We had a lot of seventh graders on our eighth grade team this year, which was a super huge thing for them to be the younger ones on the team and just to be absolute leaders on the court. For my seventh graders, I worked with them when they were in fifth grade, so to see them grow how much they have in the past 2 or 3 years has been something that I'll hold near and dear to my heart for a long time. So first, I have Gianna Potempa. At our last game, she got the winning point. This girl, I thought she was going to pass out. She's hyperventilating, she's sweating. And she sets it over the net, and I couldn't perceive it, and it was awesome. And she runs in and probably vomits in the bathroom. But no,
It's all right. That's a champion.
yes. No, very lucky to have had Gianna here on our incredible film. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This girl is the most aggressive athlete I have ever seen. Every sport this girl goes out for, she is like, who's that girl? Like, she is on it. Having her as our girl was so fun, and I really think that she really kept the ball up all the time. So, thank you, Ryder. Sophia Carr, this was her first year coming out for volleyball, and I'm so glad that she did. She is such a great girl, and she was so fun to have at all of our practices and always keeping everything light and silly. Thank you, Sophia. Camden Schultz, I would just like to say this girl got 103 aces this season, which means that the other team is unable to receive the ball. That's 103 the whole season. That's like unheard of. And then I had my little Josie Rita, my little Jay, and this was also her first year coming out for volleyball, and she just improved so much from day one, and I'm so proud of her, and I'm so happy that we got to have this season together. One of my very, very tall girls. Jersey typically plays outside hitter for her club team, and I asked her if she would play middle this year, and she was like, absolutely, I'll do it, which really meant a lot to me because I really need to shoot. Thank you, Jersey. Another seventh grader. She is something that always kept reminding the team that, no, we did great. It's okay if we messed up here. We made it out and we were awesome. And we really needed her positivity on the team. And a great athlete. Kelsey Simmons, she is one that I always look forward to seeing at school because we would just chit-chat about little volleyball things. She is such a consistent player, and I'm so glad to have had her for 2 years.
Mr. Sesek, any other students this evening?
Sorry?
Any other students to recognize this evening? 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 Any ot
Really old?
Not yet.
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. All right, I don't often get to recognize people, but tonight I do. We have some teachers on our staff who have taken a tremendous leap to do 2 years of coursework to become nationally board certified, which if you're not familiar with what that means, you basically do a marathon of learning, studying, testing, getting videotape of yourself teaching, having to critique your own teaching, have other people watch your teaching, and give you feedback just to learn, grow, and get better. So lots of our staff does coursework, and that's another way to grow your professional skill set. But this is the first time we've ever offered a national board cohort. We had some very brave souls jump in to do this. So I think it's important that they're recognized for their extra time, their commitment to getting better, and being the first class of District 114 to go on a national board certification journey. So I don't know if they have a lead coach named Laura Newmeyer. Do you know if Laura was joining the call tonight or not? I don't see her in the list. But she's phenomenal. She's helping us go through this process. I get to join in the learning once in a while. But I just really want to give thanks, gratitude, and ultimate praise to this cohort of amazing professionals. So if you'd please stand when I call your name, I'd sure appreciate it. Sherry Tejan. Amanda Voss. Amanda Lorenz. Kendra Logar. Laura Livesey. I messed it up. Emily Raychatz. Katie Jalef Filipelli. Oh, you guys see the claps? Look at the claps go up on the side. That's amazing. And Amber Missler. So we're cheering you on all the way until May of 2025. Go do it. Let's just do one step at a time then. All right? Can we get one more round of applause for our amazing I don't know if you know everybody, but we have a celebrity in the house tonight. We have a Hall of Fame member in the house tonight. So, Mr. Sufsick, if you don't mind introducing our Hall of Fame person, help everybody understand the importance of not just the Hall of Fame, but this person on the District 114 legacy.
So, 19 plus years ago, I interviewed here for an assistant principal. William T. Holmes Jr. And for 4 years, we really worked together, directly as assistants. Learned a lot about life, leadership, friendship, just what it takes to be a good person. And he retired because he named the school after him, because he named the school after a person that was standing. He felt like I could have helped it. So we named the street after him. So when you drive down Hawthorne Lane, you'll see it says William T. Holmes Jr. on the sign. We have an award that we give every year called the Lawrence Lakes Community Member Gifts, as well as a staff member, that just go above and beyond to support kids like no one else can do. And my favorite gift to that is that year we did a bathroom commission. So Bill has remained a friend, a mentor. We just had breakfast on Sunday. Person I could bounce questions off of, ideas, and I thought, you know what, that wasn't enough. We need to do something more for him. So we nominated him for the Grant Community High School Hall of Fame because of the number of kids that he impacted in our community, the number of families that he impacted in our community. And this homecoming week, it wasn't only his 50th class reunion, almost was honored as a recipient and now as a member of the band. So I present to you Lady D114.
I had only visited before, was kind of a nerve-wracking thing about 6.5 years ago. It was my first superintendency. Knew that I liked the people I met so far. Wasn't sure I knew what it meant to be a superintendent, but knew I was going to do my best. And knew very much when I stumbled upon a really smart, caring person to help me figure this whole thing out. At every turn, Bill Lomas has been there for me. Whether it's just a this, a hey kiddo, or sometimes, you know, I don't know if you've thought about, which is his kind way of saying, girl, here's what you need to do. Always done with grace, class, care, and that is part of love for the kids and staff in the school district. So I'm very grateful to call a friend, to call a colleague, and to thank you for helping me figure out this whole game because I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have. So from our hearts to yours, can I give you a stand sign? So we celebrated students, we've celebrated some staff, we've celebrated some heroes, and I want to celebrate the people who are sitting up with me this evening, because if you know or don't know, this is Illinois Board Appreciation Week. If you don't know, these are elected officials who give their time, talent, and energy for no pay, but a ton of heart, soul, and commitment. So on behalf of all of us, we want to say thank you. Lake County has just recognized this board again. It's one of the very few in the state that continues to maintain its state level recognition. So we've earned that for 2 years. But I think the coolest thing that's happened this week is that our staff here wanted to say thank you. So the 2 buildings have written you some notes. They're kind, I proved them. I wouldn't doubt that they would be kind because this staff knows how much you appreciate them and what you do. So while we break for cake, we leave these out so you can look at them or anybody else can as well, but it's with my sincere appreciation and not just because you're my bosses, because you really are fabulous that we say thank you for all you do. Thank you. That's pretty cool, you guys. Okay, so let's do about a 10-minute break for pictures. We're going to cut cake. If anybody'd like cake or water, we'll have it back there. I know the volleyball team doesn't want cake, so cool. Thank you. Sophia's like, what? Everybody just enjoy some time together. Thank you for being here. This is the biggest recognition we've ever had, and my superintendent's heart is very full right now. So let's just have some fun, take pictures, enjoy each other's company, and we'll cut some cake and enjoy 10-15 minutes. Everybody just enjoy being here. Thank you for coming.
All right, we ready? Okay. All right, everybody, we're back. Thanks for your patience with that. That was fun.
If that doesn't fill your heart up, I don't know what. I do, the consent agenda, that'll make you happy. Let's do it.
It really is. Especially that's so easy to approve now. So the consent agenda, which represents accounts payable, in the amount of $1,008,820.19. And also, we have the treasurer's report for October. We have the approval of destruction of closed session minutes and recordings. And I think that's it. And then only other one coding change on the accounts payable. We are going to change the bleachers. Instead of operation and maintenance expenditure, we're going to move that to the capital projects fund to draw down that money. So that's the only, just a coding change, $1 change.
Gary, you good on that? I'm good. Okay.
So with that, I'd be looking for approval of the consent agenda as amended for that one item.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Roger, second by Jen. Please pull board.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Grady? Yes. Mr. Bongiovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Borowski?
Yes. Okay, motion
Mr.
passes.
Galena?
Danny, you still there?
He's aggravated to get it kicked.
He's probably mad.
There he is.
He's trying.
He just came here, so waiting to hear.
Okay. Mr. Galena, can you let us know if you can hear now?
Yes, I can hear.
Thanks. I'm pretty sure that was user error.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, Danny, you just had the motion and second of the consent agenda with one coding change on the accounts payable. And everybody voted yes and opposed. Okay, nay. That's where you can't hear. Danny.
Yeah, I'm here.
So we have a vote on the consent agenda. You're the last person to vote. Do you approve the consent agenda?
Yes, I certainly do.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you after all that. Okay, next we have finance and facilities updates.
We met with the Finance and Facilities Committee to go over the update on our Lotus roof improvement. And we looked at designs for the vestibule with sent back with some changes. We're waiting to get numbers on that. But we did receive the quotes and the numbers from the phone services on the roofing, the shingle area of Lotus. I don't know if you've had time to take a look at those documents. The total is $615,760. That includes $150,000 of owner allowance, and that was put in there because I'm not sure once they take off those shingles what they're going to find. And just to remind you, if we don't use that, they don't get it. It just comes back to us. But it's just a contingency so that if they do have any areas that need attention that they can use that money to repair. They are going to be putting a hatch with a ladder in there as well. That's included in the price, which is something that we needed for a long time here. And is there any questions that you have on this, or?
So Mary, on that, there was like an alternative for the shingles also, which was a couple $1,000s less. Do we need to look at that, or what was the committee's
That
recommendation?
was the architectural. I think it was just the, is that correct then? Is that the look of the shingle? They're both the Golden Pledge warranty.
Yeah, they both have a 20-year warranty.
Correct. Correct, and it's a little more depth, a little bit different procedure than regular shingles that warrants that Golden Pledge. It still is a 40-year warranty on the shingle itself.
I think that's just cosmetic.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a cosmetic.
The only question we
Shingle
had
versus.
was the warranty, the 20-year warranty that you didn't answer.
Yeah, exactly.
This all works.
I don't think we had a ton of questions on them.
We'll take a couple weeks off on that Thursday.
A watch. Fine by me.
And we have All American, who is our roofing contractor right now, will be doing the work for us.
With board.
Yes. And you'll see on that right-hand side, that's the structural engineer and structural steel, that's where the
And on that, so sort of newer board members notice, if you're looking at page 43, which is the open book pricing, there are 3 different roofers there. All American was close to the lowest, but they weren't, so our responsibility is we take the lowest responsible bid, not just the lowest bid. And with that, because we've had a long time experience with All American for that couple $100, we're okay with them, even though they're not the lowest bid.
They've consistently done our roof inspections. They've consistently come to assist as needed. They've always been very fair, reasonable in their pricing. So they're both knowledge base and work ethic would seem to be a great fit in the knowledge of our roofs.
Yeah, I thought they've done all the repairs up there, so the thought process is you're doing the repairs, you're installing what you want. Right, you're gonna do a good job. Yep.
So do we need any motion on
So we're looking.
approval of one? Well, we have the roof patch that we're gonna definitely do that. And then we have the 2 choices for the shingles on the roofing. And if there's no difference, we go with the option A, the alternate.
So I think what we're looking for is an approval of the board's preferred vendor with a not to exceed, given the open book pricing. With that, we'll have enough to move forward with the project going.
Okay, so I'd be looking for a motion. Any further discussion? Are we all agreeing on All American? Like I was, All American was the only one that, so motion be approval of All American to do shingle roof at a price not to exceed $289,970. I mean, $612,687. That's the full price of everything. And which is alternate A shingles, and then also the roof patch at around not to exceed $37,363. So it'd be a joint one altogether, promotion altogether. Great motion. Yeah. Raj make a motion and Pat second. Please pull the board.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Brady? Yes. Mr. Conrad?
Yes.
Mr. Galina?
Yes.
Mr. Grosser?
Yes. Okay, motion passes.
Awesome. Thank you to this board. That's a major improvement, long time coming.
One other item is that tomorrow we have to close out phase 2, which is the boilers and the work up here on the rooftop units. AMS did come back last week and seal the whole unit itself, with some pictures to verify. So that project will officially be completed.
As long as it doesn't leak, it will be.
Exactly. And they said that they're going to check again in the springtime to make sure that it's sealed tight.
Do we know if it's made a difference at this point? Do we know if it's made a difference at this point? We haven't had it.
100%. I haven't had my buckets out in a week.
I don't know if it's raining or we.
I don't think it has.
Hey, it's the leaks, because it just kind of builds up there, but so far no leaks, so my students got confused with the white buckets were.
All right, the responsible going forward.
I'm like, oh, it's the roof.
Good.
Thanks, everybody. Mary, the maintenance grant.
Yes, maintenance grant, we have another round coming up. If you recall, we have had 2 maintenance grants that we've done work with. The state matches us up to $50,000, and we pay the other half. This is why we need board approval before we can write the grant, because we have a match portion. So this grant, we are going to be doing a $50,000 offset for the lowest roof. So that's what we're going to do. But we do need it because of that.
Looking for a motion to approve maintenance grant.
I'll make the motion.
That was Joe?
Yep.
All right, motion by Joe. Second by Roger. Please pull the board.
Mr. Roger?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Galina?
Yes.
Mr. Grosser?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Brady?
Okay, motion passes. Next, we have the levy presentation. Well, you know, most people want to stop.
I know.
I'm sorry. Wrong button.
We're required to do this presentation.
It's up to you. You got it? Okay. Click. Click right. Okay.
It is.
Okay, I think I'll do it from here. I don't know if there's a good angle here. All right, so today we're going to be presenting the 2023 tax levy. Okay, hang on. There we go. All right, so tax levy is extremely important because, as you can see, 72% of our revenues come from property taxes. About 18% is from the state. The federal government gives us almost 6%, but it was a lot higher when we had ESSER money coming in. Now it's starting to be spent down. It's a little bit dwindling, so we get about another 4% from other local monies. So it's an extremely important function of the board to approve the tax levy. In the sequence, the tax cycle, it starts in September. The county assessor will send us the estimated valuation of all the properties in our district, as well as all of our new property that's coming onto the tax books. And this is an estimate. The only thing we do know for sure is our CPI. And again, like last year, it's kind of unusual, but we had a 6.5% CPI. However, we're capped at 5%. And when I say that we're capped at, we're limited at 5% above what we received from last year, even though the CPI and inflation is higher. It's either CPI or 5%, whichever is lower. And like I said, this year and last year has been rather unusual that we've actually reached that 5%. And the important thing to remember is this tax levy that we're going to be approving in December is actually money that will fund next year's budget, so the 24-25 budget. So we would talk about equalized assessed values going up. Again, the last 2 years have been double digits, which we usually don't see. You see the last 6 years has been, or 5 years has been, a good growth, nice steady growth. But, properties are going for more than asking prices. So values are creeping up these last couple of years. So which comes into play when we figure out our tax levy. When we look at the tax levy, one of the important things is what our fund balance is. So this is our fund balance as of June 30th, at the end of our fiscal year. You'll see that we have a couple of funds that are negative. And what we look at when we calculate tax levy is, do we need more money in one fund versus another fund so we can actually tweak it or redistribute the money. And you'll see that in another slide. In fact, Matt was very helpful in helping me out with doing some little tweaks here and there, just so we can bring those funds back to positive.
Okay, how these funds work. So each fund is kind of like its own little company. That's why each fund has its own levy. That's the money it can use for its expenses. So that's the funds. Why we're required by law.
Mm-hmm. But we also can make those changes, like you said, if we need to. So we look at the needs of the district. What are we looking for in next year's budget? Well, the one good thing is that our fund balances are on the rise, which is good. We ended up with almost 25% fund balance to expenditures. It would be great if we would between 30, 40%, and 50% would be more awesome. But you want to have some reserves that in case something happens, you have something to fall back on. I put on here, we will be feeling the effects of inflation. That's wrong. We are feeling the effects of inflation. Cost of food is going up to the district. Tuition has gone up, transportation has gone up. So I don't see that it's leveling out just yet for next year. So we're going to be paying higher prices for, things that we normally purchase, contracted services that we purchase. So that's one of the things that we take into consideration too. One of the biggest items is salaries. How do we retain and attract teachers in a time when we have a labor shortage, we have a teacher shortage. So that's going to be one of the goals for next year as well. Try to retain and attract teachers, and not only teachers, support staff as well. We've had to contract out because we can't attract support staff. So that's one of the largest purposes of the tax levy. So here's a simplistic calculation of the overall fund, or tax levy. We take last year's amount, which is the $9,351,000, multiply that by 5%. And then we also take our new construction and multiply that out. We get an additional $21,000, but these are estimates. So even though we can calculate this out to come out to that 9.8 million, is that showing up? It's not. Okay. The total is 9,840,562. That can vary either way, but from what I've seen with the assessor's office, their numbers are usually pretty accurate. So the EAV, our values can change a little bit, and that might tweak it slightly, or new construction. That's one of the things that you have to be aware of is that an accurate number? And I'll show you that in the next slide as well. This slide is is actually what our tax levy will be. So if you look on the left-hand side here, this is what we received last year. Multiply that up by 5%, this is what we expect to receive. And this graph shows where we've made some changes. So you can see along here, we've reduced O&M because that has a pretty good fund balance. We've increased the levy for transportation and for Social Security. Those were the two funds that were negative. So we can make changes in that. And what we've also done is added a little bit more, asked for an additional amount in case that new construction comes in at a different number. That way you can capture all those dollars for the new construction. It's called balloon levying. You may have heard that term. Back in the day when we had so much construction going on, districts would balloon levy by 20% because you weren't sure exactly how much new construction you're getting. But like I said, the assessor's office has been very accurate with these numbers the last probably 5-7 years, I think. But that's what, so what happens is you'll see we're at a 7% increase over last year. If anything over 5% triggers a truth in taxation public hearing. So that is what we're going to have in December. We'll have a public hearing first where the public can ask questions, make comments. We will also have the tax levy listed on the website so people can view it and ask questions or make any comments as well. And then what we'll do is come back at the December meeting, hold the public hearing, have the board adopt the tax levy, and then it has to be filed with the county clerk's office by the last Tuesday of December, which is December 26th this year. And that's the whole process. Any questions I can answer? Or would you like to make any comments, Matt? Anything that?
No, I think you did on the head. It doesn't hurt to ask for more than you really know you're going to get. You just don't want to leave anything on the table. Because if you leave it on the table today, you're never going to catch it again. So it's better to be safe than sorry. So that's why we're on 7% asking for that. Yeah, I would say the assessor has been a lot more accurate
than the years past, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
10+ years.
I agree, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, tax levy hearing next meeting.
Next meeting, yes.
You have transportation updates for us? Also set out. You want to do?
Oh, yeah. Transportation, this next month, we have not had any changes at all. I did have one come through, I think it was Friday. We do have a McKinney veteran student that will be sharing some transportation costs with Joaquin. But that might be very short term because I believe mom is trying to register the student in the district. And that's the only change I have from last month.
Any questions on that? This is helping us keep a tighter watch on this one. So thank you, Mary and Christy, for keeping up with that one. All right, Mary, anything else you want to tell us?
Yeah.
A joke to share? Anything?
I think I'm good.
You're good? All right. Next for the board's consideration is the personnel report. You see a couple of hires. We have added another permanent sub at Lotus. We've had sub positions posted. We've had para positions posted that we've been unable to fill. So the next move we could make was to seek out a permanent sub. This person came highly recommended to us from our friends over at Grant High School. She started yesterday and by all reports is doing a sensational job. Even before starting, reached out to volunteer at one of our holiday events, right, Natalie? And then Jeff and Michelle found an EL teacher for our students who English isn't the first language in their home to fill the open leave of absence. And I know that we're very excited to have her on board. So resignation is in there for a permanent sub at Stanton. Kelly's going to stay home and be a mama for a year, which I think is a great decision for her. So you see what remains open. I'd be looking for the board's approval for the personnel report as is listed for your consideration.
So we have 2 new hires, because I only see one.
You see 2?
I saw one when I looked at it earlier, but
That must have been an
update.
Okay.
So we have 2 new hires at Sienna and Shannon.
Yep.
So I'd be looking for a motion to hire those two as.
Looking as a motion to.
Oh, yeah,
accept
except the
personnel report.
whole personnel report, right, that's hires, resignation, and resignations. Okay. So we have a motion by Ken, a second by Jen, please pull the board.
Mr. Bryant?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Brien? Mr. Galina?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Von Giovanni?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
All right. Well, it is the time of year that we get to share with you more of our student performance data. So as you know, annually, our kids participate in the IAR, the Illinois Assessment of Readiness. All of that data, including its impact on our school's summative designation, is embargoed until Halloween, which is funny. So you're seeing it all along, but it doesn't become official until Halloween. And so it's our pleasure to share with the board this evening some information about IAR, student progress, and the school's summative designation. So I'm going to start. I know Natalie has some pieces to add. I know Jeff has some pieces to add, but I'll kick us off. If the board will remember, at the last meeting, we gave you fall benchmark data. So NWEA MAP data related to students in literacy, and iReady data related to kids in proficiency in the domain of math. We had a lot of successes, and then we talked to you about next steps that we would be taking. The great news was there wasn't a lot of new to that. We're just going to be continuing the great work of our students and staff. So let's broaden the scope a little bit and talk about our kids' spring 2023 IAR performance. And then that, as you know, is a sliver piece as to the school's summative designation, which started a few years ago to say globally how our school's doing, not just on academics, but on multiple metrics. And we'll talk about that in just a bit. We're going to share the summative designations for Lotus and Stanton. If you remember, we were surprised unhappily last year that Stanton received a targeted status, identifying areas of relative weakness in both chronic absenteeism and performance of students with IEPs in the domain of math. We have a lot to celebrate tonight, and then some action steps with this board's approval. Recently, if you remember, we opted to go with annual school improvement goals instead of a 5-year strategic plan. Talked about that seeming to make a whole lot more sense in terms of those goals being smart, strategic, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Much more so on an annual basis than saying, well, 5 years out, let's just see what we would want to have happen. So I'm very proud of the work of the guiding coalitions in both buildings to set purposeful, meaningful goals for kids based on the data as we have it. So we'll end by sharing those goals, because based on this data, you'll see exactly where both schools know that they need to keep going and are already working. So that's where we're going to go this evening. So when we think about 22-23, so remember, this is cumulative data from last school year as measured by IAR and all the other metrics last spring. We know that 75% of a school designation comes from English, from the academic indicators as you see here. So growth in ELA and math, proficiency in ELA and math. So those are two obviously different things. Proficiency is how did you do compared to the target for you. Growth is how do you do compared to yourself over time, and that's an important number for us to be looking at. Also looking at science proficiency and then progress toward proficiency for our EL students, our kids who are working to become halfway bilingual. If you'll remember, the most significant portion of our students who fall into that category have Spanish as the first language spoken in their home, and they're working to become masters in both of those both languages, English and Spanish. The other 25% of recognition status is driven by chronic absenteeism and then participation and completion of the climate survey. In our case, that's the 5 essentials conducted each year. So this is kind of what you're scored on. Do you have any questions on that so far? That hasn't changed a lot. The indicators of pre-K through second grade performance, and then the fine arts category still remains in flux. We don't know what those are, and those have been hanging out there quite honestly since our last time in strategic planning, and I have no indication that those are going to get much clearer, which is why we're going to play the game as we have it. So if you look at the overall picture of how the district did on last year's data, we'll hit some high points. I mentioned to you that growth on the IAR is a place to watch. If you'll look in this category, Light green is us, dark green is the state. We are beating the state in terms of student growth, which is one of the things that we always aim for. It hasn't been the case in the recent past due to multiple factors, one of those obviously being the 2021 school year and the end of the 1920 school year. You'll see that our finances, we are very much within or below the average range for Lake County schools and our per pupil allocations. We knew that we wanted to watch chronic absenteeism. We got to the 24% level and we'll dig into that in just a second to understand that relative growth. We're retaining 79% of our teachers from last year into this year. In terms of evidence-based funding, which I know is Mr. Bryant's favorite topic, adequacy for us would be 9.6 million, and we're coming in at 9.3 million. So there is still a funding gap as measured by that. Our student mobility is at about 10%. We know we have 2 schools, and I am thrilled to point out that this year we have 2 schools in the commendable category, but we'll dig into that in just a second. When we think about chronic absenteeism, obviously when kids are in school, they can learn more. So that was a place we knew we wanted to get better from last year to this year. In our case, any student who misses 17 days or more in a school year is considered chronically absent. When we think about last year's data, you can see that we went from spring of 22, which was the year that we were all very concerned with that 39% of the student population missing 17 or more days. Last year, we got it to 24%, which definitely shows improvement. The target from the state's perspective is being between no more than 10 to 13% of students, which you can see that we're heading in the right direction. We have some goals around that. When you look at Lotus's specific performance on the indicators, this shows kind of out of 100 points, how did Lotus do on each of these categories to get its commendable status. You can see ELA proficiency, math proficiency, the growth on both. This category is talking about progress of our EL learners to proficient. 82%, we got 82 points out of 100 for the growth for our students on the access measure, showing our students gaining English language proficiency. That number is incredible, as is evidenced by the number of students we were able to exit from EL support services last year into this year. Chronic absenteeism, we got points but still have an area to grow. The goal, the building has a growth for that, and 100 points out of all those available for the climate survey. So that's Lotus. Lotus has always been on the commendable point, which is why we want to make sure we spend a little time here loving on Stanton, because they work their tails off to get out of that targeted status. So the same metrics are used here. Stanton did get 100 out of 100 points on the climate survey. I'm not sure why it didn't pull on this grid, probably because the data was so amazing everywhere else that it just scooted it over. But what we knew we wanted to dig in here is specifically math proficiency and math growth for the students at Stanton, because these were areas of a lot of work, a lot of commitment, and a lot of growth. So the combination of indicators with that chronic absenteeism, doing far better, and kids growing far more in math is what got Stanton from targeted into commendable. So Jeff, I know you shared some specific celebrations with me, so I want you to tell these stories, please, on behalf and benefit of Stanton.
15 seconds.
Mr. Smith, please pull forward. So we were given all 3,153 schools, elementary schools, scores, and so we had a day off Friday. What else are we going to do except look at them all? So I wanted to pull out. I mean, we were really happy with our overall designation. I wanted to pull out why, because this is hard to understand some of these things. So we were targeted at 36% chronic absenteeism. This year we were, last year's data to this year, we're at 18 and still working with it. And that's a lot of thanks goes to Mrs. Peters and her.
Oh, it's a team effort.
Well, you're the only one. So.
But Kim Hosking and Kendra Smee are really
this year we're
getting after it and playing an active part in supporting that too.
And Michelle has a great partner in Faye Rosario at the regional office. She's been phenomenal. And that wasn't a funded position for a few years, so that's back, and that helps a lot. So our summative score, you know, when you saw the top of the house, last year was 50.83. That was our overall score. This year it was 72.42. It's an increase of 21.59. So that put us in the top 30% of all schools, elementary, in Illinois. So we were 948th out of 3,135 schools. So that we were 9 points short of exemplary. So 81 and above was exemplary. I think like 38 and below would be targeted. And you could get targeted in any specific subgroup. So if you have 20 or more students in a specific group, and that group does, your overall score doesn't matter because that group will get you targeted. And so we wanted to make sure we strengthen all of our areas. Next slide, please, Mrs. Frizzell.
You got it.
So I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a little competitive, and I wanted to show everybody the schools that we beat. And I didn't pull out every school that we beat, just some of the locals like Emmons and Nippersink and Johnsburg and Big Hollow and Grays Lake, and then some of the really wealthy areas that I wanted to say: Barrington, North Shore, School District 112, Kildare Countryside, Libertyville, Barrington, North Shore, North Shore. Next slide, please.
But wait, there's more.
Big Hollow Elementary, Wakanda, Middle School, Woodland Intermediate, Gavin Central, North Shore School District 112. There's Big Hollow Primary, Grass Lake. Wakanda again, Matthews Middle School, Gavin South Middle School, and I always want to put in the Diamond Lake schools because their superintendent just likes to brag a lot. We whooped it pretty good, so too bad she's not here.
She's also a really good friend of mine, so let's take it easy.
You know. So I just wanted to show everybody that you know what, we got targeted in an area. Our overall score wasn't good enough to like lift up one area. It is now, and so our hope this year is to work to be even closer, or maybe even closer. So, was it Galena trying to get back in?
No, he's giving you a fox face and a flex.
Let's go. I think that's
I should show it that way. Sorry. Then you can see all the emojis floating and stuff.
I think that's it. So.
All right.
And I've let all those schools know.
I'm sure you have. Yep, there's celebration signs going up. So that's no small feat. To show growth is a big deal. To show that much growth takes a lot of commitment, care, and effort. So props to the whole Stanton staff. We are planning on doing something special for the Stanton faculty tomorrow after school to celebrate their greatness. They did have access to these slides, but we're going to get our party on a little bit tomorrow afternoon about that. I'm going to make the slides big again because we're going to continue to dig in. So let's talk about math from the big picture. I tend to show you the same slides every year just so we keep the information current. We're comparing apples to apples all the way along. So spring 23, we had 19% of students meet and exceed state standards. So that's the proficiency number. That's not the growth. I'll show you growth in just a second. Is that where we want to be? No. Are we getting better? Yes. So you can see how across our 3rd through 8th graders, kids split out and performed against the 5 different categories. When you look longitudinally over time, remember there was a point in time when we were taking the PARC assessment that switched into the IAR, Illinois Assessment of Readiness. You can see the COVID history here and the fact that last year in 2022, we had about 12% proficiency, so we're climbing back up, which is exactly what we want to see. What we want to see, we're also making strategic moves like this board has heard about with things like Number Corner, being really clear with iReady and the individualized platform. When you look at IAR over time, comparing district to state, so dark green is that exceeds area, light green, proficient. And remember, it's challenging to get proficient on this assessment. You're looking at about 80% accuracy on the assessment makes you proficient. So it's not like a 50% and you're good. You have to really do an extraordinary job. So when you see our green getting bigger again, that's what we're looking for. Historically, you can see, I mean, we're making some tremendous gains back from when we lost ground due to COVID. We knew that would happen. That's happened to everybody, but seeing those gains start to happen comparably, if not better than the state, makes my heart happy for the kids and families that we serve. Interestingly, we wanted to look at how we compared at the elementary levels across the local elementary. So this is thinking about kids at Lotus compared to other elementary schools. You can see we're right in the middle of the pack in terms of student proficiency. We want to at least be there, if not start ticking up this list of comps. But I think it's good to see how are we doing compared to the kids in school around us. And here's Stanton, again, climbing up that ladder. And these are, like Jeff said, these are all pieces of the bigger puzzle that lead to that summative designation of both schools being commendable. When we think about different student groups in the domain of math, again, light green is us, dark green is the state. When we look at our all-in number of students proficient in math, we still have some room to grow, but then when we dig in and look at our students from low-income homes, we're beating that state average. Our English language learners, it doesn't surprise me with the growth our kids made on the access to see us beating the state in that realm as well. Students with IEPs and students with disabilities, so those are students with 504 identified plans. We have some work to do in those categories, we know that. We hired additional help in the realm of special ed so that each building could have a coordinator to support that work. Allie's doing a great job. Lynn is rocking it at Stanton. We just needed more support, so I anticipate seeing those numbers shift as well. But in terms of looking at that data over time, if we look at students with and without IEPs just in our student pool. So what I showed you last was us compared to the state. This is us compared to us over time. So you can see basically we're looking at the achievement gap here for students who have IEPs and who don't have IEPs compared to the state. So with IEPs, you see the gap. Students without IEPs are here for us. For example, in 2019, there was a 26% gap between those student groups. So the split between, if I have an IEP, it's predicted that I would have 26% fewer kids proficient than those who didn't. You start working across, you can see it ebbs and flows. Math continues to be an area of weakness for our students with IEPs. Not surprisingly, because for kids, once they're taking the IAR, it's a combination of reading and math and critical thinking. And those are domains that a lot of our students who are IEP entitled, they're entitled for that reason. They struggle with those things. So these are new presentation of metrics that I think are interesting to look at. When we look at ELA, same metrics, 27% of our students met or exceeded standards. You can see the split here across the 5 performance categories. Here's the longitudinal look at students meeting or exceeding expectations. This is a big gain, 10% more students proficient in ELA is a huge gain. So we're very pleased to see that, especially with some of the financial allocations we've made toward core resources in ELA, knowing the ARC program in K-5, Amplify at 6-8, UFly, which again was one of those pieces we knew we needed to add for foundational phonics. What's been great to see is as we get better at our craft, we can pinpoint where students are struggling, and then we're filling those gaps with not only resources, but the amazing teachers that work with our kids, glom onto the resources, learn like crazy, and figure out how to use them. So this is IAR for English language arts over time. Again, same spread. You can see as I can, this green continues to get bigger, which is what we're looking for. We're also looking for the red to get smaller, because red are students who are super discrepant from what we would want to see at grade level. And we can see that trend very much so happening for our most challenged learners. The comps across local elementary schools, again, you can see Lotus right in the middle of the pack, Stanton as well, right in the middle of the pack of the comparable school districts, which again, that's where we want to at least hold, if not keep climbing. When we look at student groups, You can see some of the same trends. Our all-in number, we still have room to grow, but we're very competitive for students who come from low-income families. ELA, students who are continuing to learn English, it would make sense, particularly that a component of the ELA assessment is a written task. That's really hard for kids who are still working on learning not only how to speak the English language, but then learn how to read and write. And so that data doesn't surprise us when we anticipate that continuing to grow. For students with IEPs and disabilities, again, we continue to see the split both on this metric and then over time. So again, these are those performance gaps. Our kids have smaller gaps than those statewide, but we still know that we have to be watching proficiency and growth for our students with IEPs, not just for these metrics, but because it's the right thing to be doing. So with that, what lies ahead? Natalie, I'm going to invite you to tell us what the Lotus Guiding Coalition has identified as priorities for this school year.
Sure thing.
Yeah, you got 3 members in the house. Yeah.
So we actually did this together with our guiding coalition. We looked at historical data to see where we've been, what the trajectory of our progression looks like. And so you can see our first goal by the end of 23-24 school year will increase the percentage of students at or above grade level in Ready's or math program to 60%. When we looked before, we were around 55%, and we felt very confident that we would want to keep that 5% growth as our increase. So that's why we have 60 for math by the end of the school year in our ELA program. So this is our math test. We were around 70%, so we felt very confident that we could hit the 75% of our students scoring at or above.
And if you could time out for just a second here, the difference in these metrics is that all students participate in these two pieces. The IAR is only measuring 3rd and 4th graders here at Lotus. So we're watching way before the state level metrics kick in how students are doing, because it's the right thing to do. Like the state metric to me is the one that's the most out of our control. It matters a lot, but what matters more than that is what we're doing as kids are growing up the ladder to make sure that they're proficient so that we don't have surprises and that our kids are consistently doing better on that metric. But what I love about this is every school, every student at Lotus. So I'm sorry, Natalie, thanks.
And then you'll see our 3rd goal, so that is our attendance goal, because as you saw, chronic absenteeism really can take us down to a targeted status. So this is only looking at 3rd and 4th graders. So we had just totaled the number of 3rd and 4th graders that we have, and we are limiting that to 5 or fewer students. So that would be 5% of our total number of 3rd and 4th graders. That 95% of kids would not be on targeted status for absenteeism for the state. So they came out to 5 students, which is 5%. And then again, is through all those proactive measures of making sure that we're doing everything in our power to get these kids to come to school. That would be letters, phone calls, meetings, reaching out to the Lake County ROE, putting them on a wake-up call list. Even their parents don't love 6:30 wake-up calls. Sometimes they need just an extra boost of encouragement to get to school. And then actually, the specials team came up with a goal, which I couldn't love this more. So it was the specials team will collaborate to create an event in the 3rd trimester of the 2024-25 school year to showcase student achievement within the various specialist classes. So the target will be at least 20% of our families in attendance. So I think we have a little bit more in terms of what that will look like. But what a cool production we could put on for our families to showcase what they're doing in specials such as art and music and STEM and library. So just being able to have the families come in and see what our students are really producing for their specials.
would be great.
And just to clarify, is that an end of this year or end of next year?
This is next year.
Got
So
The date is correct then. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you, Amber. I'm glad you're here. All right. Any questions for Natalie on the Lotus strategic goals? Thank you to you and the Guiding Coalition on that. We're good? Okay, Stanton, how about you? Wow, you just got, yeah.
So our first goal, of course, is that chronic absenteeism again. So we were 35%, and we were targeted overall, so to decrease that to at least 17.5% or below. Ideally, I would love to be below that, but that's half that number. So, so far, we are at a good pace. Things have been good. We've implemented so many things in just attendance. We have a lot of support with 2 teachers that have built into their schedule second period to follow up every day with students who are marked on excuse. So those are students whose parents have not called in, students whose parents have maybe left for work early and their child just doesn't want to come to school. We've made several home visits already. So there's a lot of things we're doing. So hopefully that number will be lower than that when it's all said and done. Our second one is to increase the growth from fall to spring ELA from 51.5% to 61.5%. So that's based on the overall MAP student growth summary. So that's looking at growth overall for all students in 5th through 8th grade. And then the last one is moving in math from 44% of students on grade level to 54% of students on grade level as measured by the iReading diagnostic. So our Guiding Coalition helped to create these, and a lot of these, all of these actually were based on our school improvement plan because we were targeted. We had to have goals to implement for this school year as well.
All right.
You did a much better job than Jeff.
Any questions from the board? Okay. Lots to celebrate. Lots to do, but lots to celebrate. Really, really proud. All right.
Does Mrs. Peters get a yard sign?
Absolutely. Yard signs for everybody. All right.
I live on a corner, I gotta work for the front, so.
All right. We do have, you'll be thrilled to know that we got a new press packet, so there's a whole bundle of new policies to look at. Try and control yourself. Okay, so as usual, I have the red annotations at the top to tell you exactly what's recommended to be changed in terms of policy. So we've got 2.120, which somebody was on that one. Board member development. Exactly. So you'll need a lot of that when you're paying attention at the board conference this weekend. Matt and I had a discussion around, if you look at page 57, there's a paragraph around professional development, adverse consequences of school exclusion, and student behavior. The footnote would indicate that that can be optional for board. I asked that we consider keeping that in when we do the second read on this, simply because one of the benchmark data pieces that we look at is student social emotional learning. And in fact, that would be the December data update around our students in Panorama, which is the new resource for that. But if you have strong feelings and want to take that one out, we're still going to show you the data. So it's a matter of where if you want to do policy or not. 200 then is types of school board meetings. Let's see what I did here. Updated in response to the Open Meetings Act, which
New
closed session reason when you've had an issue at a school event and it allows you to talk about it in closed session. Typically, so hopefully we won't have to deal with that, but it would be a recommendation to get that one into place. Policy 410, operational services, is updated, requiring the board to present at a board meeting a written report that includes the annual average expenditures on the operational funds for the previous 3 fiscal years. So Mary, make a note of that. I'm sure you'll be excited about it. And that one is a required, Roger, are you going to the delegate assembly?
Yes.
That one will come up there and review as well. 430, operational services, revenue and investments. This is an update under just some federal laws trickling down.
Investment policies on what you invest our funds in, which we don't have that.
We don't do that. And then 460 is another operational services, which is around purchases and contracts. This one is a lot around stuff that we're handling in different ways. So it cleans up the policy a little bit, but nothing substantive in terms of changing business practices for us. The one thing Matt and I did talk about was at the bottom of 78.
Page 4 or 5 of this policy.
Oh, yeah, page 4 or 5 of this policy, page 78 in the packet, right?
I earlier downloaded the versions. Shows this.
Okay. Oh, I think it's okay. So anyway, we are on page 4 or 5 of policy 460. It is allowable for us to make optional that last paragraph of the policy, which starts with the superintendent or designee shall. Gives us some optional language, which is down in the footnote at 18. The underscore language. So it's really up to us what we want to put in there, or we can put nothing related to posting district contracts. Obviously, we're watching those contracts. The proposed alternate language would say the superintendent or designee shall execute the reporting and website posting mandates in state law, which we do, and maintain a status report for monthly presentation to the board, rather than putting all of that out in public. So.
It's not like overkill, more posting of everything. Information is always available, and I don't see the need to give ourselves another monthly task.
I agree. Do you want to do it strike through or alternate language?
I think we should strike it.
We'll draft it and see how it reads. Okay, I'll draft it and see how it reads in the final copy. Anybody have an issue with that? And then the last one is 4160, operational services, environmental quality of the grounds, and so this has to do with pesticide application where we're in full compliance with the updated policy. So we'll clean those up, they'll be ready for a second read in December, and we'll have a whole bunch of new first reads for your consideration. So buckle in. All right, info items, any requests for future agenda topics? We're good? Okay, please remember at the December meeting, I'll be asking those of you coming to the conference to share out your most important learning, so make sure you take notes. Christy, thank you for putting the packets together for everyone. You should have a red folder with all the information that you need in it. If you see any issues in there, please let Christy know immediately. Any other requests for future agendas? Also in December will be that social emotional learning data. 2 FOIAs, yes?
Yes, the first one was, they were requesting impact fees for the last 15 years, student enrollment, staff count, number of classrooms, and building square footage. So very good. And lots of fun.
Christy, on that one, that's probably something pretty good. That's real good historical information for board members. Wouldn't mind forwarding that email to all of us.
Yeah.
Since it's all pulled together already.
So we sent that email response on November 7th, and then Smart Cure is the one we get, I don't know, every other month or something, asking for purchasing information from July to current. So I'm ready to go.
Thanks for staying on top of it, guys. Dates of note, we have an annual conference this weekend. December 2nd is a Lake Division breakfast. I took the full details on that in the Friday updates. Our board meeting for December will be the 19th, which is right before the holidays. And with that, no closed session, we're ready.
Nope.
Okay, maybe next time.
Every time Roger runs a meeting, it's done an hour. I do it, we're in 47. Well, I think there was some celebration on the slides up there. Let's have some more cake before we adjourn.
Natalie's
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Ken, second by Joe, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Danny?
Aye. Yeah, aye.
Motion passes and 8:48.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey.
You good if I unhook? You want to unhook? Let me stop this.